internet, we're not in our normal setup because my roommate walked in on me filming and she doesn't know I make YouTube videos, so that was kind of awkward. So today's Top 10 Tuesday is top 10 books I would recommend to people who say they don't like to read. I really think people who say they don't like to read just haven't found the right books yet, so I tried to do kind of a cross-genre recommendation type thing. I also tried to do relatively easy reads, not necessarily simple books or anything like that. Easy read doesn't mean that it's like less of a book than ones that are more difficult to read, but if someone says they don't like to read, I'm not going to hand them the Song of Ice and Fire series, because even I had to reread chapters to figure out what was going on there. First book is Call of the Wild by Jack London. This book is interesting in the fact that it's from a dog's point of view, so perhaps that could appeal to people. A lot of people say that not liking to read is a boy problem, in that girls tend to like to read more than boys, so I don't really put much merit into it, but this is a book that's kind of more appealing towards boys because it does take place outside. Another really good book is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, which is actually by a girl. A lot of people don't know that, but it was kind of a young adult fiction novel before young adult fiction kind of rose to popularity. Hatchet by Gary Paulson is a book I would recommend to people who like to be outside. So maybe you want to read about a kid who was stuck outside for a long period of time. Pride and Prejudice and Zombies is absolutely amazing. The original book by Jane Austen, adapted by Seth Grahame-Smith. And if you like Pride and Prejudice, this is an amazing book and really funny. And if you like zombies, this is perfect. You don't have to have any knowledge of the original Pride and Prejudice to read it. A lot of it's kind of fused together, and I love this book and highly recommend it. I'm only recommending 2 series in this because I think that people who say they don't like to read don't want to get into a long, drawn-out thing. One of them being Harry Potter. This is a book that got a lot of our generation into reading. I really think that it will draw people in. The other one being Scott Pilgrim by Ryan O'Malley. This book is actually a graphic novel, so if you don't like a lot of text in your books, perhaps this could appeal to you. Many people say that graphic novels don't really have merit, they aren't really real books, but I don't see that at all. I think they are still wonderful. I think they have absolutely literary merit, and I would highly recommend it. John Green, I think, is a really good author to start people on. I would hand people An Abundance of Catherines because it's kind of different and more quirky than his other books. Really, just anything by John Green would be great to start people on. I'm a fan of reading books that were adapted into movies. I kind of like seeing the differences there. So I think people should read Coraline by Neil Gaiman. It's a really awesome fantasy novel, and then perhaps they'll want to go see the really cool movie that was made out of it. Another book that was adapted into a movie was It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini. It follows a kid who is depressed, but it's really interesting. It's a really good young adult novel. And finally, perhaps fiction just isn't your thing, in which case I would recommend Freakonomics by Stephen D. Levitt and Stephen J. Dubner. I really enjoyed this book. It's a very interesting look at economics. I don't read a whole lot of nonfiction, but it was one that really caught my eye and was really interesting. So people who say they don't like to read, there's a ton of different kinds of books out there. Just go and find your niche. In my opinion, there's a book out there for everyone. List in the comments any books you would give to people who say they don't like to read. I would really like to check them out. Thank you for watching. You're awesome. See you next time.